What's up, guys? I'm here to talk about this new little fun toy I got, the MetaQuest 3. I had so many people telling me that VR was the way of the future for watching 3D movies, and I was very skeptical because, as you know, I've dabbled in a little bit of VR in the past. I've made a couple videos. I had two headsets. I had the PlayStation VR for my PS4 Pro, and then I had the Sonera Edge, which came with a expandable arm that you would hook onto a desk or something and just bring the headset to your eyes. Both of them were kind of cool in their own right, but they also had major flaws. Just to recap real quick, with both of them, the field of view sucked, in my opinion. It was even worse with the Sonera Edge, because the Sonera Edge wasn't an actual VR headset. It was just like a movie theater inside of a box. You know, you brought your face up to it, and like it looked pretty cool. The 3D movies looked pretty cool, but you know, the corners on the top right, the bottom, they were cut off. They were cut off from your field of view. So if you wanted to see certain parts of the screen, you would either have to make the picture smaller, which kind of defeated the purpose of having your own little virtual movie theater in a box, or you would just have to like move your head around in the headset, which was, I don't know, I thought it was kind of annoying. The PlayStation VR had a little bit better field of view, but it was also, you know, this is still kind of annoying, but it was easier to deal with because since the PSVR was actually a little virtual reality movie theater, you could move your head around easily. Like I could just like turn to the left real quick and see part of the screen, and the screen stands still. The screen is stationary because you're in VR. The other thing I didn't like about the PlayStation VR was the, I think they call it the screen door effect. Well, I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. It sounds pretty self-explanatory, right? It just looked very, I don't know, like you were looking through a screen at times, and it was just very grainy. I didn't feel like the resolution looked that great. These were 1080p Blu-ray discs that I was watching on the PS4, and they just didn't look 1080p to me, and the colors looked very washed out too. So, yeah, you know, I dabbled with that for a while, and then I just went back to using my 3D TVs. And so many people were telling me about the Quest, and then I started seeing advertisements for it on my Facebook wall, of course. And I was like, you know what? Why not? Let's just bite the bullet on this and see what happens. And I am so glad I did. We have the MetaQuest 3 here, 4K, 512 gigabytes. It comes with these two little controllers, and it comes with the Batman Arkham Shadow game, which I have redeemed, but I have not installed it yet. Excuse me. Here, I'm going to take it out of the box so you can see how big it is. It's actually a little smaller than the PlayStation VR, and it definitely is lighter. So I can actually watch a whole movie on it without feeling like my head is going to fall off my shoulders. But, so here it is. This is the strap. So now the strap, I feel like the strap isn't as comfortable as the one that came with the PlayStation VR, but I've ordered a new one for it, which I'll leave a link in the description for as well, because you're going to need that. So, and I'll get into that in a second. But yeah, as you can see, it's pretty lightweight. From what I understand, and you know, I may have to do some more research on it because I'm still learning about this. It's still pretty new to me. From what I understand, this doesn't have OLED screens like the PlayStation VR has. So I've been told that the contrast and like black levels are going to look better on the PlayStation VR, but I am not unhappy with this at all. This looks phenomenal. Let's just dive right into the reason why I got this. Obviously, to watch 3D movies, because I have this fear that one day my 3D TVs will go out, and what am I going to do? You know, a lot of people say, oh, we'll buy a projector. Well, sometimes you can't do that if you live in a small space like I do. And yeah, and to be honest with you, I've never been that impressed with movie projector 3D. Every theater that I've been to, the 3D has looked fine, but I've always felt like I see way more depth in 3D movies on my 3D televisions. And I don't know if it's because of the type of screen technology or if it's because of the size of the screen and the distance that I'm sitting at, but I've always felt that the 3D looked better on my TV than in the movie theater. This gives you a couple different options to watch the 3D. So some people will recommend using the big screen app, and you can find servers where they're playing 3D movies. I haven't done that. I wanted to put my own 3D movies on here. So what I ended up doing, and I'm gonna make a separate video for this because it's a lot easier than it sounds, so I could just show you. But what I ended up having to do was I bought an external Blu-ray drive for my computer from Pioneer. I'll link that in the description as well if you're interested. And then I plugged it in, it installed, and then I went to a website called Make MKV Beta, and I downloaded the program for that. And what that does for you is it rips the Blu-ray disc onto an MKV file, which is how you're going to watch it on here. That process does take a while. It takes about an hour and 20 minutes for each Blu-ray disc to rip. So once it's done being turned into an MKV file, you have two ways you can go about doing it. You can use a USB SSD thumb drive, which is what I used at first, and you can put the movie onto that. You just drag it over, and then you put that thumb drive into this USB-C port right here. Now, after that, you download an app from the Meta store on here called 4XVR. And I believe you get a free trial of it, but eventually you're gonna have to pay for it. The app is, I think, like $20 or something like that, but it's totally worth it. And it'll read the storage from the thumb drive, and that's how you watch your 3D movies. You have two ways to do it. You can watch your movie in virtual reality in your own personal movie theater, or you can watch it in, I think they call it mixed reality, where you're actually in your room. And I'll explain that in a second. So the virtual reality is pretty cool. Like I said, you're in your own movie theater. If you've ever watched a movie on the PlayStation VR, it's very similar to that, except with the PlayStation VR, when you looked around the room, it was just dark. In this room, it's an actual movie theater room. It literally looks like you're in a movie theater auditorium. You see the walls of the movie theater on the side that say 4XVR. You look around, you see seats to your left and right. You look down and you see seats below you. If you stand up from your seat, because this is virtual reality, if you stand up in your seat and turn around, you'll see the movie projector shining down behind you. You could also choose what type of arena you want. You don't have to be in a movie theater. I think there's a couple different options. One, you could be in space, so it looks like your movie screen is like just in the middle of space. You're in the galaxy. You look around and there's stars and whatnot. You could watch it on the moon. Like I said, that feature is pretty cool, but personally, I prefer watching the 3D movies in the mixed reality. So the easiest way that I can describe mixed reality is, imagine that you're sitting on your couch in your living room, and 8 feet away from you or 10 feet away from you is your real TV. Let's say it's a 55-inch TV sitting there. You put this on, and you can still see your surroundings. You can still see your room. If somebody in your living room walks past you, you'll see them. You're not in virtual reality. You can see your room. But in front of you, you have a new TV that can be as big as 80 inches, 150 inches. You have control of it. You can zoom it in or out. You could change the type of screen, whether you want it flat or curved. And let me tell you, good Lord, it looks freaking amazing. I would compare it to my OLED TV, my C6 OLED. It looks like that, but better, because it's bigger. And You don't lose any clarity. Like, the picture looks sharp, just as sharp. The contrast looks great. The picture is bright. It looks just as good as my OLED, but bigger. And boy, do things just pop out. And there is no worrying about your field of view. If you're in the VR mode watching this, watching your movie, then yeah, you do lose a little bit of the pictures on the corners, but it's not that big of a deal because you could turn around, you could turn your head this way and that as you're watching the movie. But when you're in mixed reality, where you're watching this screen that's manifested in your living room, you don't have that problem because it doesn't look like you're in VR anymore. It looks like you're just in your room and you've got a new TV in front of you. And it looks phenomenal, guys. It's literally the best 3D I've ever seen. I was shocked. I think it's the way of the future for VR, but I mean, or no, sorry, not for VR, for 3D movies, for watching 3D movies. The other thing that's really cool is that you can create a server with some of these apps where you could play your 3D movies, and other friends or family who have a MetaQuest, no matter where they're at, you could have friends living an hour away. They could hop on, join your server, and watch the movies with you in VR as well. How cool is that? And this is only $500. Think about it. If you were buying like a brand new LG 65-inch for C6 or whatever back in the day, how much money was that? Thousands of dollars. This is only $500. I think it's fantastic. On top of that, it has speakers built into it. So you don't need headphones. You could get headphones. I'm not saying don't get headphones. You could get headphones, earbuds, that'll most likely sound better. But this doesn't sound bad either. I find myself not using my headphones anymore when I watch it because A, you got this on your head, and then do you really want headphones on your head as well? I mean, I guess you could get earbuds, but yeah, this has speakers built into it. The bass sounds fine. The clarity, the dialogue clarity sounds fine. It has very good panning effects. Sometimes it even sounds like it's going from left and then overhead to right. I think it's wonderful. It's so good. Then we have, this doesn't have to do with the 3D, but I just wanted to point this out before I forget. These are the joysticks for it. As you can see, they're very small, and I really like these compared to the wands that we had for the PlayStation VR, because those were big and bulky, and whenever I was playing a VR game on those, it took me a long time to just get used to it, because I'd play Skyrim in VR, and I'm so used to using an Xbox controller that those wands, learning the controls on those wands were so hard. But these are pretty cool because this is basically just like a controller, just split in half, as you can see there. It's really fun. And when I was wandering around in VR mode on this, I didn't even need to do the tutorial because it was just like using a regular controller. I just used this joystick on the left controller to move. And you could use the right joystick for your camera angle, but I didn't use that. I just physically turned. I'm standing up in the middle of my open space here, and I just physically turn, to look around in my surroundings, and then I just use that joystick on the left to move forward. But anyway, I just wanted to point those out. The only downside about these is that they run on AA batteries, one per controller. So it would behoove you to buy some rechargeable AA's, which I did. Now, let's go into another con about the headset. The battery life on this sucks. It's cool because it's completely wireless. That's awesome. But the battery life sucks. So I tried watching Avengers in 3D, and I got through 50 minutes of the movie before the headset shut down on me. So let's go back to how I was putting the movies on that USB stick. I'm no longer doing that. Well, I am, because I don't have enough storage on my computer to hold all those movies. So I'm putting all those movies on this 2 terabyte SSD thumb drive as a backup. But in order to watch the movies now, what I recommend doing is putting them into the internal storage of your Quest, which is really easy to do. So like now, it has like, I think 400 gigabytes really when you actually open up the storage and check. So you could put quite a few movies on there. So what I do now is I stick the USB thumbstick into the USB of my motherboard on my computer, and then I plug the Quest directly into the next USB port on the computer, and I go into the storage of the SSD thumb drive, and I just send one of the movie files directly to the Quest 3. And that could take like about 20 minutes to do, because it's a very big file. A lot of these files are like 40 gigabytes. But yeah, once you do that, they are in the internal storage here. You launch your 4X VR app and you'll see it there. Hit play. It looks fantastic. So now that we have this USB-C port here free, because we're not using the thumb drive anymore, now you can charge it. You can either use a very long USB-C cable, just plug it into a power source, plug it into here, or we could talk about that headset. I ordered a headset. I think it's called the Bobo or something like that. I'll link it. I'll link it after this. The headset is supposed to be more comfortable, and it has a battery, an extra battery on it that I guess extends the battery life by 2 hours maybe. So yeah, the battery sits on the back of it, and I guess it's a pretty small battery, and it plugs into this part right here. So you should be able to get like 2.5 to 3, or I don't know. I don't want to make any assumptions here because I haven't gotten it in the mail yet, but it should be like 3 hours life at least. And then you could also buy an extra battery to change it out in case this one goes dead. So I'd say it's a very good investment. But anyway, it looks amazing, guys. I'm probably going to be watching my 3D movies on here from now on. Whenever I do a review, you can probably just assume that I'm going to be watching it on here. Because like I said, it looks just like my OLED, but better, bigger. Let's see, is there anything else I want to add? Oh yes, so the Pioneer external Blu-ray drive that I bought for ripping the movies, it works really fast. I recommend plugging it into the USB on your motherboard. Also, it will not rip fake Blu-rays. Now what I mean by that is I have some bootlegs, like Super Mario Brothers, the new movie that came out in 3D. There is an official 3D release for it on Fandango at home, and there's torrents out there. So I had an acquaintance of mine burn me the torrent onto a Blu-ray rewritable disc. Looks fantastic, by the way. I got quite a few movies from him. I got that one. I got Dark Phoenix. I got Wicked. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But I tried to rip the Mario Brothers movie onto an MKV file to put on here, and it didn't work. So it's only official 3D Blu-rays. Also, it doesn't discriminate by region. So I just got done ripping Spider-Man No Way Home, which was an Australian import, which was region locked, region B, I think. Had no problem ripping it. I could put it on here. Problem solved. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I'm going to try to do some 3D Blu-ray reviews here this week, but I may be a little slammed, but I just wanted to leave this review for you here because I thought it was the most important out of them all. And I definitely will be leaving a video clip showing you how to install and rip a Blu-ray onto an MKV file. And so just stay tuned. But thanks for watching, guys, and as always, be safe out there. Love you. Bye.